Hello, welcome to an episode that talks about mass media as a tool for development. I'm Dr. Pragati Paul, a senior assistant professor at Jamia Millia Islamia, Department of Development Communication, specializing in development communication, research methodology, advocacy, social marketing, and traditional media. Today, we shall be discussing the role that mass media plays in the process of development. Communication is not just a process to transfer information between two or more individuals. Rather, it is an instrument that facilitates involvement and participation, leading people towards their development. Mass media is an essential component of communication when used for development. It can play a vital role in circulating knowledge, initiating discussions, creating new ideas and skills. Today, we shall be discussing about the various aspects of mass media in the promotion of development. Now let's start by discussing the objectives of today's episode. The objectives of this episode are: first, to understand communication as a process; second, to analyze the role of mass media in the process of development; third, to discover about the various tools used by mass media for development; to enlist the success stories of development through the use of media. Communication as a process. As stated before, communication is a process to initiate interaction. It is a two-way process wherein the flow of message has been both ways. Since a long time, we have been using communication for different means and in different ways. It is used as a tool to inform, to educate, and to facilitate people to participate. Communication is essential to facilitate participation, and when people participate in their own development, that process is called development communication. The phrase development communication essentially comes from two very strong words, communication, which largely means sharing of information and experiences, thus initiating learning and development, which refers to change in the people for their betterment. It can be an economic change or a social change. According to Everett Rogers, when we put communication to use in order to further development, it is known as development communication. These applications of communication further increase the exposure of communication tools to people. For example, increasing media exposure amongst the population of a country in order to enable an environment for social change or support a particular program for development. Therefore, it is an approach to communication through which communities can be informed and taught how to better their lives. In this process, development communication plays two basic roles. The first, the transformative role, as it pushes social change in accordance with today's generational needs in order to provide them a superior quality of living. Second, the socializing role, by looking for social change in accordance with the prevailed established values of the society and maintaining these values. However, we can talk about the communication process. We say it is two-way as stated above. Therefore, for this process to be successful, it is imperative that it is responsive, generates feedback, it should be sustainable yet creative and innovative as well as continuous, so that social change can be achieved. In order to achieve what we want through communication, we need to use the medias through which communication travels. Therefore, now let us understand the role mass media plays in the process. When we talk about mass media, we should also keep in mind that it is not just a tool but also an instrument for the government to promote positive development. It should be used tactfully as well as extensively used for the process of development. A communicator should aim to reach the maximum number of people with a structured plan and make extensive efforts so as to reach a large population and give out the exact intended messages that can bring about change. A communicator's message should be based on its intended audience. Accordingly, the perfect tool should be chosen. Message delivery should then be framed accordingly to the tool being used to deliver the messages to a particular audience. Daniel Lerner in 1958 discussed the connection between mass media and development through his statement, "The greater the communication facilitates, the faster is modernization." Philosopher Wilbur Schramm said that the role of mass media in development programs can be divided into 3 stages. The first stage is to inform, which simply means that media should provide information of all contexts, international as well as national, social, political as well as economical. As well-informed audience is better aware of the situation that hamper their development. Secondly, to instruct, which simply means that along with information, people should also be made aware how to use the information given to them. Mass media plays a vital role in educating people in this context. Projects like Gyan Darshan and Krishi Darshan are an example of such projects wherein media explained its viewers how to use the information and skills given to them effectively for their own change and development. Thirdly, to participate in which it is the media's responsibility to initiate debate and discussions and urge people to raise their voices and participate. Such participation comes through awareness and ultimately leads to a better standard of living as people become aware and voice their concerns. Mass media makes sure that it points out the shortcoming of the society and the center areas of development through interpreting, analyzing, discussing various issues pertaining to a particular society as well as the world as a whole. The messages created in mass media should be strong and clear so that they create an urge in the common man to pursue the process of development. Mass media here plays the role of a decision maker as well as a teacher. Now we'll be discussing the tools of mass media for development. Mass media is essentially relevant in today's society and time, as it is the main source of all our access to information. Mass media can be largely divided into the following tools: A. Newspaper, B. Radio, C. Television, D. New media and technologies, E. Traditional media. Let's talk about newspaper and its relevance as a tool for development. Newspapers or print media, as popularly known, is one of the most popular and the oldest form of communication present. It is extremely close to people's heart and has been used since years to deliver messages of relevance and development. Print media has a very big reach. It is participatory as well as effective in delivering messages to the common man. The press in India has been on the forefront of every struggle that the country goes through. The newspapers, especially the Indian language papers, were extensively used during the freedom struggle by various leaders like Mahatma Gandhi to gather public opinion and participation of people in the freedom struggle. The post-independence, the scene of press in India changed. People became to participate more and the circulation of newspapers increased. Newspapers were used extensively to discuss the 5-year plans by the government, the various government programs for rural development, as well as the issues that India faces as a country. Press has been a pillar of democracy, always educating, informing and instructing people of the country to take the right steps and make the right choices for their development. Following are some of the highlights of newspapers and its benefits as a tool for development. One of the oldest and most trusted media used for disseminating information. It has a very large reach from rural to urban India and is available in several languages. It informs the common man in detail about various beneficial government programs and policies. It promotes participation of people by urging them to come forward and take part in activities for their own benefit. Press is independent, therefore it is useful in influencing people as well as the government. With the fast-changing era and the oncoming of the new technologies, the impact of newspapers has been reduced, but it is still the most trusted source and the purest form of gathering and distributing information amongst people. Moving on from print, let's now discuss the electronic media and its aspects. Let's start with radio and its effectiveness as a tool for development. Radio has played a very essential role in development since its inception. This has happened essentially due to its humongous reach and availability in the remotest of locations and in different sections of the society. It is also a boon for someone who cannot read or who does not have access to print. In India, All India Radio is and has always been at the forefront for implementing the communication strategies designed by our government. Post-independence, several rural programs were initiated through Radio Rural Forum experiment in 1956. The program covered approximately 156 villages and talked about agriculture issues, techniques, varied subjects, promoting rural development for around 30 minutes. The radio forums did not just stop at agriculture. They also started forums on issues like adult literacy, women and legal rights, programs on importance of school education, health and nutrition. The All India Radio formed local franchises so that it could improve and spread its reach in order to impact maximum number of people. They also promoted the concept of local radio to highlight issues pertaining to each individual region, thus touching maximum lives to initiate change and development. All India Radio also promotes school broadcasts by involving teachers to create content for development in consultation with consultative panels of school broadcast. Radio has undergone several experiments initiated by universities, agricultural institutes as well as international organizations like the UN through the extension networks for the purpose of development communication. These experiments have created a phenomenon called the community radio. Community radio in today's time is a popular service available in several villages of India as well as local counties in other countries. It is an effective tool namely used by educational institutes and NGOs to broadcast information and messages pertaining to development. Local participation is extensively encouraged, making community radio a platform for local villagers to raise their concerns and local issues in order to get a positive outcome. Let's now go over one last time the benefit of radio as a tool for development. Radio allows true participation as people can come forward and give essential feedback as well as raise their issues. It is adaptive to each community and its needs. It has a very large reach from urban to rural. The programs and content are designed to be community relevant. It is an ideal communication tool for the illiterate population. It is cost efficient and easily available, thus making it sustainable. The effectiveness of radio as a tool primarily depends on our listening abilities and the effectiveness of the messages given. However, if the messages produced through radio as not properly formulated, they can be misinterpreted. Therefore, there is a need for another medium for effective communication. This medium is visual and is more effective as we have something to see as well as listen to, making it much more stronger medium of message delivery and of causing change. Television is the medium of communication that uses our sense of seeing and hearing together, making it more effective. Therefore, the retention of messages produced through television is longer. Now we'll be discussing television as a tool for development. TV was introduced in India in the year 1959 as an experiment. From its inception, the aim to introduce TV was to promote education and development in the community. Therefore, we can appreciate the significance of television in the process of communication for development. Today, as we step into the 62nd year of television, we can still notice and understand that the broadcasters till date broadcast TV programs with an essential idea of social accountability. One of the oldest and the most educative programs launched on television has been Krishi Darshan program 1967. The primary objective of the program was to popularize the modern practices of agriculture through the means of television. There have been several other old and new television programs, fictional as well as non-fictional, that have been dedicated to social issues and practices to achieve change. Television has also been effectively used to aid satellite communication technologies over the years to bring development. Satellite communication technology is a very effective tool in order to reach the remotest locations of the country as well as around the world for education and development. There have been several projects that were initiated for this purpose, like Khera Communication Project, Educational Television, Satellite Instructional Television Experiment called SITE, and Countrywide Classroom CWC. These programs have reached out to the nation's call for education, awareness and training amongst the country's rural population over the last 30 years. One of the most notable efforts in this direction was SITE, Satellite Instructional Television Experiment, which was initiated in the year 1975 to 1976. The primary objective of this program was to design unique development programs through satellite communication to 6 rural areas of the country, which included 2,330 villages of 20 districts. The states involved in these programs were Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Odisha, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. Its primary objectives were to improve primary education in rural areas, to provide essential guidance to teachers and trainings as well, the improvement of personal hygiene, health and nutrition and agriculture, and to help and assist in family planning and integration. The project led to a huge change in the rural scenario and widened the horizons of villagers as they understood the effective development messages. Another extremely capable experiment was the Khera Communication Project that was also started in 1975 to year 1989. 443 villages of the Khera district in Gujarat were given 607 community television sets. Each day for 1 hour Doordarshan broadcasted programs through the help of satellite communication. These programs discussed the issues of the poor class in the country. The evaluation of the project revealed that television serial viewing helped in improving confidence and sense of equality among people, particularly women, who gained a lot of knowledge from it. There are several other projects that were carried out for social development through television and are still a mainstream in today's time. Each serial that we view today focuses on some aspects of social issues and development, thus making television an essential source of development communication. Finally, let's point out the benefits of television as a tool for development. Broadcasting in general is a very powerful medium in the world for social and cultural change. It is a visual aid, and the delivery of messages is better through a combination of visual and oral messages. Satellite broadcasting increases the horizons for new information to travel. The different worlds come closer through television and introduce new methods and techniques to further development. Along with these traditional mass media technologies, there has also been a rise in the new media in today's scenario. Today, youth generally and greatly relies on these new media technologies, and thus they too have a huge impact on the development. Now we'll be discussing new media and its role in development. New media technologies like computers, laptops and smartphones have taken the world by storm. Now everyone has news and information at the palm of their hands. These technologies made their way into the Indian society in 1986 and have made a permanent home. They are an essential tool to the process of development and are extensively used in today's time to spread messages for social change. Initially, the work for development started through the introduction of e-governance, e-Chopals and telecenters. Now, these tools are effectively being used to pave the way for several social campaigns that need attention. These campaigns and their promotion through new media makes it reach bigger and better. For example, LGBTQ campaigns started in one section of the world but slowly became a movement in the entire world because of the exposure it received on the internet. While I can go on listing the examples of effectiveness of new media and technologies, let's quickly go through the benefits. New media has a vast reach across countries and borders. It utilizes both visual and oral communication effectively. It is interactive and accessible and therefore a commendable media for development communication. Lastly, we will be looking at a form of media that has been present since the time of our ancestors. Traditional media. Traditional media as a tool for development. Traditional media is that tool of communication which can reach any number of common people, as it is effortless, simple, and liberated from any kind of language barriers. It is a communication vehicle which has a variety of resources. It is easily available and cost effective. It is a live source of communication, so it is very easily understood and it wins the hearts of rural masses. It is an extremely effective method of communication as it creates a situation of instant feedback, as it is face-to-face medium. Some examples of traditional media are street theatre, puppet shows, storytelling, folk songs, dramas, exhibition. Entertainment is an essential part of traditional media as it is an effective way to involve the audience. The content is largely educative in nature and brings out social issues and messages derived from the community for their own benefit. Communication of messages is a blend of education and entertainment, but it does not create any false images in the mind of the common man. This form of media is extremely participative in nature. It involves the people of a community to create their own programs and shows. This is one of the best mediums of communication and it is also personal, easily adoptive, and extremely effective in giving out messages of change and development. One such example of effective use of traditional media is Dandi March. The march was organized by the people of India as an act of civil disobedience against the British Raj. During this march, people were motivated through the various songs that were sung as well as the Nukkad Nataks that were performed. India has a rich history of performances during occasions like these as well as festivities, namely dramas and folk songs that motivate people to take their development in their own hand. Therefore, traditional media have an extraordinary role in promoting developmental messages in India. They primarily appeal to the emotions of common people and thus motivate people intellectually. Lastly, traditional media has the following benefits as a tool for development. It caters well to the needs of the rural population. It requires very less resources. It is cost effective. It is participatory in nature, therefore the power lies in the hands of the common people. It is free from barriers like language, affordability, and literacy. It appeals to people's emotions as well as intellect. Now let's conclude this episode. At the end of this chapter, we learned that communication and the use of mass media is an effective manner which can lead to phenomenal development and social change. However, it is essential to take care that the right kind of messages are being delivered through the right tool of mass media for the specified audience. Effective use of mass media is only possible when there is a clear process that has been formulated. Given the current media scenario and the ever-changing society, it is imperative that the communicators formulate a dogmatic framework that will work for the public service broadcasting sector in an effective manner, formulating current and relevant programs that attract viewers in the process of development. These days, the media scenario has completely changed. People no longer rely only on the news that comes in the newspaper or on the television. The society is so fast moving that individuals need their news on the go and in their hand through the means of mobile smartphones. Therefore, it has become essential to understand these new forms of communication tools and target them in order to reach a large audience. Design programs in a manner that they turn into an online movement. Example, organizing online petitions or making a particular campaign viral through the support of influencers. Moreover, along with the rise in social media, it is also essential to set down the communication assets in the hands of the local people, as it is the best way to achieve Trump in the development projects while using mass media. And now it's time for a quick recap. So today we discussed about mass media as a tool for development. We discussed the process of communication, its meaning, usage, and significance. We further discussed the process of development, communication, and significance of media in the same process. We also learned about the various aspects of mass media through the Wilbershams model and the role it plays in the process of development. We studied about mass media tools like newspaper, television, radio, new media technologies, and traditional media. We also discussed their development as well as their significance in the process of development in the Indian context. Throughout discussions, we were also able to point out the benefits of each tool. This is all we have for you today. We shall soon return with another interesting episode. Until then, farewell and namaste. Thank you.